And, well, now paid parental leave and how it is not getting any longer. The champion of the bill, which would have extended paid parental leave to 26 weeks, says she has exhausted every avenue now. The government has vetoed the proposal. Labor MP Sue Moroney was seeking to extend the leave from 18 to 26 weeks, and with all the votes except for National and ACT, she had enough support to get the bill through Parliament at its next sitting. But, and it's a meaningful one, the Finance Minister, Bill English, vetoed the extension, saying its price tag of $278 million over 4 years was simply unaffordable. The government hadn't budgeted for it. Ms Moroney says she'll keep campaigning for more paid parental leave, but her options to have it introduced are now limited.
Yeah, look, I think it's a real slap in the face for families who are needing this sort of support, and I think it shows how out of touch the government has become over the pressures that families face. A lot of the families who came to Select Committee were telling us that because of increasing housing prices, because of student loans and other pressures on them, that they are having to make decisions about, can they have a baby or do they buy their first house? And those are the sorts of decisions that today's families are having to face.
What has the government given as its reason for vetoing this bill?
Well, it says it's unaffordable from one side of its mouth, and on the other side of its mouth, John Key is talking about having $3 billion worth of tax cuts every year. And just last week, the government spent $20 billion on unidentified war toys for defence. So there clearly is the money that they can spend, but they're prioritising other issues.
And you did have broad political support around the Parliament for this bill, quite unusual for a member's bill.
Yeah, in opposition it's really hard to command a majority vote in Parliament, and we've been able to do that for 4 years now on this bill because the research and evidence is so strong around it. And so MPs have looked at now twice through Select Committee the financial implications of this bill, and on both occasions said this is a very wise investment. It's the sort of thing that we need to do to secure a brighter future for our country.
The first bill arguably did put pressure on the government and they did move on paid parental leave. Is that enough?
It's not enough, and we know that because when we took the bill back through Select Committee again, an even stronger majority of the New Zealand public came forward and said that 26 weeks was what was required, because that's what we know is going to secure better bonding and attachment between parent and baby when the brain development is such that it makes a real difference to the outcome for that child's life. It's also the period of time that we know that if we can support exclusive breastfeeding to 26 weeks, then the health outcomes are going to be better for that child. That's going to save all the rest of us a lot of money in hospital admissions.
Is this the end of it? Are you going to resubmit another bill?
It's not the end of it. I'm going to keep campaigning on this, but it's now crystal clear that the only way that families are going to be prioritised and the way that they need to be by a government is for a Labor-led government to be installed next year when the public get to have their say. So look, the good news is that the public's going to get the final right of veto over this government on their weak stance in support of families.
Because if you went down the track of members' bill again, they could just veto it.
Yeah, look, I think I've exhausted every single avenue, including getting up in Parliament last evening and moving the third reading of my bill to try and get that happening before the financial veto was slapped on by the government. I think I've tried every single mechanism that I can use through the parliamentary process. So now it's up to the public to make decisions about whether this government is acting in the best interests of families and children, or whether they really need to change the government next year so that we can get better prioritisation for the pressures that are happening on families and children.